We're outmatched. How are we gonna defeat them?
I know what to do. I can ask corpses 5 questions and then they go back to being dead.
Perlomon tergatis.
Maybe I'm not saying it right.
And Michelle, I wanted to ask you first that I feel like you've done so much for creating in Hollywood this specific type of female badass who's also got a tenderness to her.
Aww,
and I see movies now that you're not in, and I'm like, that's the Michelle Rodriguez character.
That's so sweet.
And I feel like
there was a type like that going around in the agencies back in the day.
Really?
It was interesting
Michelle
when you
Rodriguez
become
type?
a type. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we need a type.
Michelle type.
I'm like, hey guys, I'm here, right?
Yeah, and I feel like Hog is definitely like the Michelle Rodriguez type, but there's always something new, right? And I wondered what was like the new exciting thing about this character?
I think the innocence of the character, the fact that she's not necessarily tied in that old-fashioned expectation that you would have, like in a relationship with Ed Gein character. I think there's a humor to her, because she's kind of loyal and stubborn. But at the same time, she's got this thing for short guys. And I thought that was the cutest thing ever when I was reading the script. I was like, yeah, and I can grow my armpit hairs out. And it just felt very liberating. Just a free, innocent character that wasn't like, there was nothing stereotypical about her. And I think that that's what really captured my heart, was like, this is a cool character with multiple dimensions. It's not this one-sided idea of a barbarian running around brutishly with her axe. This character's got dimension, and I was like, this is gonna be fun to play. And also, I think my biggest attraction was the idea of doing a movie that I could take my goddaughter to. Like a family fun movie where I don't have to worry about all the violence, because most of the movies I do are for teens or above. And so, aside from Smurfs, and Avatar, I've never really worked on anything that was like for kids. So I was really happy about this.
Sorry, can I just clarify, you were a Smurf?
Yeah, I was a Smurf.
Yeah.
I did not
Stormy.
know this about you.
Stormy Smurf. Dude, I
you were a
really would
Smurf.
love to do more voiceovers, man. If you guys are out there, like, I'm all about the PJs and going to work. So, like, voiceover world, holler.
I'm tracking down Smurf Michelle. I need this in my life.
Stormy Smurf. She was very stereotypical, but cute.
I'm somebody who got into D&D over lockdown, so I'm sort of new to it, but I loved how much it captured, like, the beautiful chaos of what it was like to play. And I know that you guys, kind of as a cast bonding exercise, played a game before you started shooting. And I wanted to ask, like, who turned out to be most like their character during that game?
Michelle, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. I'm trying to remember. It's like 2 years ago, so it's like
We all just yelled over each other the entire time
Yeah.
when we played that game,
yeah,
which apparently is how it's normally played.
yeah.
Yeah, I can attest to that. And was there anything, like, as actors, like, being able to play that game before you played the characters that you kind of went, oh, I feel like I understand this character a little better now?
Yeah, 100%. We did a campaign that was based off of the events after the film, so we got to, like, improvise our character in a different circumstance, which you don't really get to do often as an actor, but I think it was integral to the performances in the film, because we got to fully flesh out who these people were.
I think it was just like a fun type of rehearsal. It was just, very different. But, I mean, that's basically what it was. We get to know each other, and we get to be these characters together. And that was, in our own way, just a way to, flesh out the characters, whatever you just said.
It's like an acting exercise.
Yes,
That's
acting
cool.
exercise.
Sophia, I had read that you sketch a lot on sets, which I love, and I wanted to ask, like, does the stuff that you draw, is it connected to the character that you're playing? Like, on set for this, were you sort of, like, sketching D&D related stuff, or is it just totally just to relax?
It depends. Usually just to relax, but there were a few times on a few projects where they made me draw some of the characters for them. This happened more than once, so yeah, there was a few times where I've drawn stuff for the cast. I'm not great. I tell them that. I warn them right before they ask me, but no, I like doing it. It's a lot of fun, and it's such an easy hobby to do, to keep up, because you don't really need much, and all the stuff you do need you can buy at any store. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like these sets must be so chaotic in a way, and there must be something about drawing that, I don't know, I know for me doodling is like very centering.
Yes,
it's very
yeah.
peaceful.
It's a type of meditating almost.
I've read that like your characters had been specifically written to reflect the different playing styles of D&D players. I know Zank was like, he's the guy who really follows the rules and is very strict about stuff.
Rules lawyer at the table. Yeah.
I know you were more of a Diablo kid than a D&D kid, but did you bring any sort of like inspiration from your role-playing game era?
I mean, now we're getting our role-playing roles mixed up. Inspiration is Chris's forte. This is what the bards do. The bards inspire the party. That's where his spells are from. No, I was very inspired by the types. I'm big into role-playing games in general. But the cool thing is that actors generally are, because what we do is we role-play. That's like the whole job. And so starting out playing a game together before we even stepped on set, that's one of the most fun ways I've ever met my character. Like, I stepped into my character for the first time at a table playing make-believe with Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine and Justice Smith and Sophia Lillis. And like, in terms of the imagination at your disposal at that table, I've never been in a more wild or raucous or thoroughly chaotic game in my life. And so I think what I brought to the Paladin was the efforts to kind of lasso that and keep it vaguely in check and on the table.
He's so bow chicka bow bow. I'm gonna keep doing that.
Yeah, no. So Michelle's soundtracks, every time I walked on set, that would happen. I had my own personal soundtrack in Michelle Rodriguez. And that's how I got into character.
I need a friend like that. I need a personal soundtrack.
We all do.
Justice, I'd read that for the spellcasting, you really wanted to incorporate sign language. So I wanted to ask about that, and as well, like, how much freedom did you have to like figure out what these movements were going to look like?
A lot of freedom. John and Jonathan they didn't really give me any framework for what they wanted the spellcasting to look like. They had paired me with this choreographer, and she had a lot of really great ideas, and we kind of just worked together to figure out what the spells were going to look like. She wanted more like fluid, slow gestures, but I thought something that was almost like similar to like dance, like really staccato and like concise movements would work better. And so we kind of like fused our styles, and then I brought the whole sign language thing to her, because I feel like if spellcasting were a thing, it would be a form of language, and I wanted to ground it in something real.
Did you want to?
What?
Did you want to do that thing from the get-go, or did you think about that while you were doing the rehearsals?
Yeah, I think it just kind of came to me. Yeah, I think I knew I didn't want to just go like this. Like every time I see that in movies, I'm like, that's lazy. That's not. Yeah, like when people who have magic powers in movies or just powers in general,
Like squinting, or
just go like this or they go like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is lazy. Like, do something. I feel like if magic were real, it wouldn't just be.
Because you'd have to
Simple.
differentiate, right? You couldn't just be like, end laser beam.
And
Yeah, exactly. That's I don't know.
And that's very
not
much like
fun.
like D&D. Like there's always these set, things you have to do beforehand and everything.
True.
And there's different
Each spell is
incantations.
specific. Each spell will require either a material component or a verbal component or some form of gesture. I don't know what the gesture thing is. Whatever. But yeah, so I wanted it to be as individual as it is in the game through like the movements.
Yeah, and like, is that something you have to practice in front of the mirror a lot? Because like, how do you? Do you just take alone time and you're like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out?
In the mirror, I would film myself doing it. I would watch myself on the Zoom call with the choreographer, because she was in England and I was in Ireland. So I would watch myself on the Zoom calls, make sure like to do it right. And she would record what we like came up with together. She would record them so I could like practice them again. And yeah.